Good morning. This is the June meeting of the acquisition SIG for koha-US. Welcome, everyone. I hope your summer is going well. Did everybody have a long weekend? Are you all coming off a long weekend with Juneteenth? Did not? Okay. We did get Juneteenth off at the Round Rock Library, so that was kind of nice. What we had talked about at our last meeting was to go over some of the stuff related to closing out one year's purchases and opening the next year's purchases, and just kind of going through that. So I had planned to use the Bywater demo site for that, and I can't log into it right now. I sent a message on Slack, but nobody's responded. So Barbara, do you have access to the Koha demo?
I do. Let me poke around and find the info for you.
Okay. I tried it first thing this morning, and then I tried it just a few minutes ago, and the usual Bywater password was not letting me in. So while we're waiting for Barbara to get that information, are there other questions that people have related to acquisitions that we could talk about? It's a busy time of year for libraries in general. How about are you seeing a lot of like books taking longer to get to you? Are you ordering earlier, that kind of stuff, in order to get stuff in? Are you getting it by the street date if you're purchasing new stuff? All that good. Okay, got Allie saying, yeah.
Now I have a question.
Oh, you have a question? Okay,
yeah,
sure.
Not related to book arrivals or anything.
Okay, no, that's great.
Before we started using the acquisitions module, let me share my screen with y'all. Before we started using the acquisitions module, we put books that we were, that we purchased from like Amazon into a spreadsheet. Let me share my screen. And I'm trying to figure out a way to, can y'all see my screen? Oh, no, I have to hit share. Okay, can you see me now?
Yes.
Okay, so what I'm trying to figure out is, so we have the price before taxes added, and then we have the price where the tax, after the tax is added. But when we go, and we've since started using, and I think we can dispense with this whole spreadsheet now that we have the acquisitions module, because I feel like it's redundant. But when I go to catalog, and I'll show y'all an example.
Okay.
But this still follows. Oh, actually, I'm perfect because I'm starting to merge a record. Let me just go ahead and get into this real quick. But when I go to, nope, don't want you. I want to get to the item record. When I get to the item record, the tax doesn't carry over. So,
oh, I see.
So that spreadsheet is still needed because I still need that taxable amount, but I don't know. I'm not sure why it doesn't carry over from the acquisitions record that our admin creates.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, totally makes sense. I'm at a bit of a disadvantage because we don't have to pay tax on our stuff.
Okay.
So I know that there's some, I don't know, I know California does. I don't know if anybody's here from California or from a library that has to do taxes. Or pay
Hi.
tax.
This is Vicky from Altadena. We do pay taxes and we have added those to the vendor records.
To the, oh, okay.
You know how you
To
say
what?
you order from Amazon? There is a
Mm.
section there where you can add the taxes to it. And that would carry over to the item record.
Okay, I'm sorry. Could you say again that you cut out?
You would have to add the taxes to the vendor record.
Okay,
Mhm.
add tax to the vendor. Okay.
When
So-
you create a vendor records, there's a section in there and it tells you, and then you just put, like for us, I believe Amazon is 9.5. But then we have different ones depending on the city. Like I have another local vendor that when it's 10.25, so you just change it.
Okay.
Do you want to bring up one of your vendor records, Ally?
Yeah. Can y'all still see? Are y'all
Yep.
still able? Okay.
That's to
So
go
go-
to, click on Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah, that's your vendor. So now go to edit vendor. And if you scroll down, there,
Mhm.
where it says tax rate. But you also have to say include taxes, yes.
Okay. Do I need to highlight both of these? Include
Uh,
tax?
Let me check mine. Just to make sure.
And while she's checking, Rhonda, I sent you some login information directly in the chat.
Okay. I will grab that.
I'm sure that we have the same. Don't include tax, but you do have it and then you save it.
Thank you, Barbara.
No, it's set up the same way as yours.
Okay.
So when you add the items to it, it doesn't include the tax.
It does not. It does not go over.
Can you bring up an item to see what it looks like after you add it?
In the,
Like if you add to the basket. Do you have any items? Yeah, just click on the on one of the baskets and see the item that you have in there. Now scroll down. It should say, there is your tax though, right there. The 151 is your tax.
yeah. But it, for some reason, it doesn't carry over to the,
Not a big.
item record.
I will go and watch the Dodgers play in the Dodgers camp.
Let's see.
Yeah. So I would,
I'm gonna look up one of mine.
Just to know people.
yeah. Or not just, you know, like I have all these hats from all the teams that lost to US. And so they lost to the Dodgers that game.
So when you click on the title over here,
Actually, you know what? You're right. It doesn't because we don't actually, when what we do is we add a replacement fee to the item. So we don't charge the taxes. It's only the price, what we pay for the item. So that's what carries over.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't. You will need to change that on the settings at the beginning the vendor record again, what I was showing you, know how it says, don't include. If you say yes, include, then it would carry it over. I don't have
Okay.
any items spending in Amazon because we're done ordering for the year, so.
I'm sorry.
She didn't have any examples for you
Oh,
on her
Yeah, sorry.
system.
okay. All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Mhm. Okay. That was interesting for those of us that don't have to deal with taxes. Okay, so Barbara has given me access to, so koha-US does have a demonstration instance that we use at conferences, or if you would need to, if you're going to make a presentation or something like that, you can contact the board, and there is, let's see if I can get this. There is a demonstration instance SIG, is that, or something like that, that kind of keeps this up to date and puts data in it and things like that. So what I wanted to do, we had talked, there was some interest in just kind of reviewing, refreshing what it's like to close out a fiscal year and open up a new fiscal year, and the mechanics involved in like rolling over stuff from one year to the next. And there's a number of questions that pop up regularly, and I would like to get everybody's feedback on that, on some of these things, so that we can maybe write up a bug for Bugzilla and see if we can't get some people moving on finding some solutions to some of these issues. So what I'm going to do at this point is share my screen. So there we are. Screen 2. All right. So can everyone see a koha-US screen? Did I share the right one? So it's got the big upgrade date is set for June 30th. So if you're a Bywater partner, if you're an part of the early adopter group, you should be getting updated next week, I think. And then that's when we're getting updated. And then everybody else, it will be about a month later in July, toward the end of July, that you'll get updated. So we've got a system here. Oh, it timed out. Darn. Okay, hang on. There it is. Oops. All right. So we are in here in the acquisitions module. So the interesting stuff is over here in the budgets and funds. So I just clicked on the funds, and you can see that this, we've got the budget for West Branch for fiscal year 2021, and it's got a bunch of funds in here. What I wanted to see was total spent. We've got some ordered stuff here. That'll be good to use as example. So we can see that we've got a bunch of adult fiction that's on order, and romance and mystery and nonfiction. So what we want to do then is go to the budget. Okay,
I don't know why that's happening. I'll poke around a little bit.
okay. Well, this is better than nothing, so we'll go with that. All right.
Judy, I tried putting the new printer on there, the new cartridge, but it didn't fit right. Oh,
Yeah, so we've got our budget, our active budget here, and we've got an inactive budget. They look remarkably the same. Okay, so to create a new budget, the best way to do that is to go. I am going to get really good at copy paste here.
Is there shouldn't be, but is there some system preference about how often, how long you stay logged in?
Yeah, it's set to 30 right now. I wonder if that means 30 seconds. So I'm gonna add a D and change it to 30 days and see if that fixes it.
You're gonna do that, Jason?
Yeah, I had it
Okay.
pulled up, so
Good.
we'll see if that changed anything.
Okay. All right. So yeah, we wanted to go. All right, so this is the budget for the West Branch. I clicked on edit, and we can either edit or duplicate. I'll back up. If your budget for next year is going to have the same funds and the basically the same funds as this year, the easiest thing to do is to duplicate it. And if you want to roll over stuff from this year to next year, you need to have the same fund codes so that you can do that, so that you can roll it over. So I'll click on here to duplicate, and I'll put in the last one was. It doesn't really matter all that much what you put in here, because the active and inactive is really what controls stuff. So I'll just make this go through June 30th of next year. And we can give it a description. We'll call it 22, 23. If you are having a across the board change in amounts, you can put, like you're getting a 10% increase or a 10% decrease in all your stuff, then you could put that amount in here, either positive or negative, and it would do all that math for you. So I'm just going to leave that alone. If amounts change, round to a multiple of, so if you're putting in a 10% increase and that creates, something that ends in $7 or something, maybe you want it rounded to the nearest multiple of 5 or the multiple of 10 or something, you'd mark that in there. Mark the original budget as inactive. I'm not going to check that right now because I want to have both of them active for a little bit, and then set all funds to 0. So if the amounts that you get in a given year are different than the amounts that you get in the next year, you can set all the funds to 0. Otherwise, it's going to take the amount that you started with in the current year and just roll that over into the next year. So I'm not going to check that funds set to 0 thing. So now you can see we've got the two budgets and we've got them on the same screen here. So what if we go in and look at this, we can see that we've got all of the same fund codes and nothing, these numbers are the same if we would go back and look. And there's nothing on order, nothing purchased. Okay, cool. All right, I'll highlight that comment in a minute. And then we can, so what you can do, if you're ready to close a year, are there any questions so far? Pretty straightforward, I think. So we've got, I'm just going to go back. We've got our two budgets this year. Yeah, there's actually a year in between there, but the current one that they're working on and then the new one. So when we're ready to stop using this budget here, we can go over here and say close. All right. Now, the unreceived orders from the following funds will be moved. So we can see what we noticed before. And so we have the option to select a budget that we want to move them to. So we'll pick the one that we just created and remove remaining unspent funds. So if you're one of those lucky libraries where if you don't spend it, it rolls over into the next year, you can click that box. If you're like us, where it's spend it or lose it, you can't check that box. What the numbers that you get each year is fresh, and you can't do that. So what we're going to do is move the unreceived orders. So what this does is it takes everything that's in the current year that you've ordered but haven't received and moves it to the next year so that you can start, so that you can accurately charge against the year that the item is received in. So we'll click on this. Now it gives you a little message warning thing. You have chosen to move all unreceived orders from this fiscal year to that fiscal year. This action cannot be reversed. Do you wish to continue? I'm going to say okay. So bunch of stuff, nothing moved. And then we've got all these pages of it's moved, it's moved. Yay, so adult fiction and then mystery and on and on and on like that. So what we can do is go back and look. Oh, here's a back button. Go back and look at our two budgets. So now if we go look at this, the first one that we started with, we can see that the total ordered is all cleared out. The spent is still there because that's what we spent on that particular year. And then if we go back and look at the one that we just created, we can see that the ordered has stuff in it now, but the spent is, nothing has been spent at this point. So that takes everything that was in the previous, year and rolls it into the next year. Now, that's all well and good. And then reality hits. So I'm going to start bringing up some issues, and then you guys can jump in and see what you can, what tricks and stuff you've come up with. So the first thing that is of concern is, especially in this pandemic world, we're ordering things ahead, 2, 3, 4, 5 months ahead of time. And lucky libraries in Texas, we have our fiscal year ends on September 30th. The new year starts on October 1st. And if you're thinking about publishers, all the publishers are publishing all of their really good, hot, new Christmas gift kinds of stuff. When are they releasing those? In October, yay. So that puts us in a situation where, the easiest thing to do is just to stop ordering, and then, 3 months or whatever it is ahead, not order anything that's going to come out in October until we get to October 1, and then you send in this huge order. But then people that are looking for, their favorite author's next book in their series, or their favorite author's next book, period, we're getting purchase suggestions, because they're used to seeing things a couple of months ahead of time in the library. So we get all these purchase suggestions, which adds a little extra workload to our stuff. So how to address this issue? So okay, and then we've got libraries that are using EDI and libraries that are not using EDI, or even libraries that have EDI vendors and libraries that have non-EDI vendors. So if you were a non-EDI vendor, you could leave both of these, let's say it's not, it's not June 30th yet. So leave both the current and the upcoming budgets active. And then as you order stuff, just charge them to the right accounts. It's like, what we do is we'll go in and say fund name, and then we'll edit this so that it says something like that, 23. So that when you get the list of all the funds that you want to charge it to when you're ordering, you'll see the difference between 22 and 23, because this is just a name. It's not the code itself, it's just the name that gets changed. So that's one way. That's non-EDI. When you're dealing with EDI, these fund codes are pretty important, because that's how your vendor knows which fund to charge it to, which, when we receive this stuff. So if we've got the same fund code for 2 years, when an invoice comes in, it's fruit basket upset, whatever, to know which of the 2 fund codes it's going to actually charge it to. If you do something like this, then this one will show up second in the list, because the fund name is later alphabetically, numerically. And so when the invoice comes in, it will charge it to the first audio it sees, which will probably be the current year, which if you want to charge it against the next year, doesn't work. You would need to then go back to your vendor and set up new funds in order to be able to distinguish which budget you want it to go to. Then there's the whole thing where we wouldn't be able to duplicate. I guess, you'd have to do the duplicate and then go back in and edit all of the fund codes before you charge anything against it, because once something's charged against it, but then we've got all these things that are on order and they're still going to have the old fund code in, because changing the fund code in the budget isn't going to change the fund code in the ones that have, that have already been ordered. So that seems like a problem. Then I was thinking, well, just order it as is, but order them separately in baskets. Like, this is for this year, this is for next year, and kind of keep the baskets separated. And then you could go into the basket and maybe do a global fund change on everything in there. I have searched high and low for a way to do that and can't figure it out. You can change individual ones, I don't know if we have. Let's just go back here. I don't know if we've got anything. Do we have an Amazon? Yeah. Save this. Okay. And then if I add to basket, I don't know how much is in here, but I'll just try some generic word. That didn't work. Okay. Try a few colors. Okay, let's try library. Nope. Okay. All right. I'm going to give up. I was just trying to get an item into a basket so that we could look at it. I don't know if there's got to be. Okay. So if we go back here and we look at this, it's got to be in a basket somewhere. Oh, Baker and Taylor. Okay. So if we look at this title in the Baker and Taylor, acquisitions detail, here's the basket. Did I click up? Oh, yeah, it's thinking. Okay. So when I was looking at this, I was like, oh, there's got to be a way to change all the funds that this is, you know, we've got all these funds over here. Wouldn't it be slick if we could just do a batch edit of all these funds? Unless somebody, I'm going to reopen this. Unless somebody can see something that I wasn't able to see. There's the modify, but that's just for that specific item. You could go in here and change and, you know, see how on this list now I can distinguish, you know, if we had 2021 or 21 attached to this, and I would know which fund I was going for. But, you know, some of our baskets have hundreds of items in them, and I don't want to have to make my acquisition person go in there and click modify on all of those. That would be painful. Yeah, like this basket's got, let's see, 140 items in it. That would be a long, torturous process. So I'm thinking if we can figure out something that works for EDI, which seems to be a little bit more complicated than the regular non-EDI, that it would work for the non-EDI. Any thoughts or experiences or ideas about how to tackle something like this? Or what you'd like to see? That's probably the better question. How would you like to see this work in, you know, year end and trying to get stuff rolled over to the correct year, or be able to charge both budgets at the same time? I mean, you don't have to know the nuts and bolts and the behind the scenes stuff, but what would the ideal experience be?
I'm not sure what the ideal experience is, but in 2111, there is a new feature with holds where you can bulk cancel holds.
Yep.
And it allows you to, like, it has check boxes and it allows you to select all or select certain ones. And it seems like that kind of functionality might be good here, because I was thinking when you were talking, you know, there's no way to globally change that fund, and that would be great. But what if you didn't want everything in this basket to move? You did only want certain ones. So having some kind of a, you know, you could select all if you wanted to, but you could select specific ones if you wanted to, and then move them into a new fund. That seems like that would be really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the purchase suggestions might be a good thing to piggyback off of, because they've got on that page now, check boxes, and then at the bottom there are some different things you can do as bulk operations.
Okay.
So that might
So
be a
like
good
this model.
format to copy.
Okay. So like this kind of thing where I can say check, well, let's say I only want to check this one, and then update items with type, you know, like if this really wasn't a book, it was an ebook instead, I could update that type with this. You can delete the selected. Oh,
Right. So like if this was in your basket area, instead of having update item types, maybe there's a switch funds box down there.
right. Yeah. That seems like that would at least be a step in the right direction. Because right now it feels, you know, I sat here for an hour before this meeting trying to figure out how to do this. And every time it was like, oh, but, you know, and then it was like, okay, let's try it this way. No, it doesn't work that way because of this, you know, and it, you know, it's just kind of frustrating because, you know, before we were always able to kind of make it work, you know, because people, you know, we could order stuff the week before and still get it and things like that. But in this current environment, you know, our Ingram rep is telling us to order 2 and 3 months ahead at a minimum to make sure that we get the books that we want. So that's, it's becoming more important to be able to order ahead, but then, you know, you could have budgets. You could have everything ordered like it was when we first got in here. Have everything ordered against this first year, but then you've got to do all this calculation and go through and realize, okay, this one won't come in, this one won't come in, this one won't come in. So you've got like a spreadsheet off to the side or something like that you're trying to figure out how much money do I actually have left? Because if you're a library like ours, we want to spend every last penny that we can in order, because we're not going to be able to keep that money once the new year starts, you know, it doesn't roll over. So that becomes kind of an issue then too.
Another thing I've thought of is, like, if there were somehow, I guess, and of course you'd have to be doing this for every title probably, but, you know, if there were some extra field or something that was like, you know, this is a sure thing for this fiscal year, but, you know, here's another value that's like, you know, conditional or maybe, and then there's another one that's kind of like, this definitely isn't going to come. I can see that it's on order, but the, you know, either the pub date's been pushed out, and so we ordered it, thought it was going to come, but now it's not. You know, if there was some way to group them into categories and then I guess be able to run a report or something you know, or maybe there would be some kind of filtering in the acquisitions table, you know, like show me what my budget looks like for everything that's a sure thing. Show me what my budget looks like if it's everything that's a sure thing, plus the conditional maybe kind of things, you know, and show me what my budget looks like, you know, if everything came. And usually I wouldn't want that because I know that there's a lot of things in there that, you know, are not going to come. And I do the same thing you do, you know, at the end of the year, I'm like, which things does it look like are going to happen? And I do a lot of outside of Koha calculating. It's very tedious.
Yeah. It's very tedious. It was annoying. Especially when I can survive through the adult stuff, but when I get to the kids, it's just like, it's like so many things. But okay. Yeah, that's a an idea too. So has this discussion like created any ideas in anybody else's heads? I really am curious to see what kind of creative solution we can come up with. I like the idea of having, you know, like when I come, oh no, it would be in a basket. I'd have to find that back. Here. If you go into, oh, how did I do that again? I'm totally lost now. Looked at, it was Baker and Taylor, wasn't it? Here we go. All right, so under this fiction one here, I'm thinking this one. Okay. Yeah, if on this page, this is what we're talking about, you know, like on this page, if there were check boxes here, and you could say, I want to check that, you know, number 26 and number 29 and number 36, and then go down to the bottom, and there would be an option of move, fund, or I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. You know, we've got all the delete, you know, and cancel and all that kind of stuff over here, but being able to move all of those to a different fund, they would stay in the basket, but their fund code would be this field right here would get modified to reflect which year it's actually in. Okay.
It seems like any of those singular actions could serve well as batch operations, right? So like
Over here, yeah.
Yeah, any of those, even like adding an internal note or adding a vendor note, you could make those as a batch operation.
That's a good point. So adding an internal note, adding a vendor note, transfer, what? I suppose you could do the transfer if, you know, we ordered this from Baker and Taylor and they decided they weren't going to get it. So we're going to transfer it over to Amazon and see if, you know, Amazon seems to think they still have it or whatever. Okay. And okay. Yeah, that's a good idea. Make it more, add the batch function to a basket. So you could do batch changes on a basket. Okay. Any more questions or thoughts or ideas about the end of year kinds of stuff? I'm just trying to think if, oh, okay, then the last thing. Okay, then the last thing that you would want to do once it becomes, you know, once we're officially in this 22-23 is you could move okay, how do you do that? How do you move it to, excuse me. Did I just overlook it? Oh, there it is. Make budget active. So you would uncheck that checkbox as I just did and save it. And now I see we've got 2 of these budgets here and just the one active one over here. That's how you kind of clean it up. And then when you go into, you know, add something, the fund to something, you will only see the funds from this year in the list, as opposed to that double list that we saw earlier. I think that's everything that you need to know to do that.
And I can't recall, there was a checkbox there for lock the budget.
Oh, yeah.
And what does that do?
This is like, I think if you lock it, you can't spend anything out of it. I am not confident of that because we never lock the budget, but
I don't think we do either, but I only do this once a year, so I can't recall.
Right, yep. So it would make more sense to lock an inactive budget. So I'm going through all of this. So yeah, that way if something accidentally didn't get the fund code changed to the right year, it would flag it, I would guess. I would have to look that up for sure. Because that's something, you know, maybe we do need to be doing that, but okay. Any other thoughts or questions? How important is it to close invoices once paid? Very important, as we discovered. Because if the invoice is not closed, when you go to do the rollover, it will not roll anything that's in an open invoice. So, you know, we did the rollover and we still had things on order in our original budget and we couldn't figure out why that was. The reason it was is because we had open invoices. So it's really, if you want to do the rollover function, you really, it will only roll things over that are in closed invoices. So yeah, that is pretty important. Thanks for the question. That's a good question. Okay. And then just to
Rhonda?
Yeah.
Having said that, it seems like it would be nice if in the rollover process, if you had open invoices, that you would get an alert that would say, you know, you have open invoices. Are you sure you really want to proceed? And then let you go and close them before moving on.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. And then Judy's asking, is there a way to check that all invoices are closed? I can't remember what we did that. That was like 2 years ago that we made that fatal error. It wasn't fatal. It just was annoying, but I can't think, I think what we did was, you know, it was like, there were these things that were on order in the funds, and we just went and found, you know, clicked on it and found which invoice it was in. So we did it backwards, basically. Which
There is a way to
Okay.
check if invoices
Okay.
are open.
Okay, share.
Let me share my screen. Hold on. one
Okay, let me unshare, stop sharing, whatever it's called. Okay.
Share my screen. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yep. Mhm.
Okay. If you go into acquisitions, and on the left side, if you click on invoices,
Mhm.
and here you just hit enter button, and it's going to show that you have your invoices are here. You're going to have your
Oh,
closed invoices on the right side, and you're going to have your open invoices on the left. So according to my records here, I've got 2 invoices that are open,
okay.
and that's how you
Yeah.
check your open
Okay.
invoices.
Very cool. I think that's this splitting between open and closed invoice tabs is sort of a new-ish thing. But that's great. Yeah. So you just leave the invoice number field blank
Yes, and just hit enter.
and just hit enter. And that shows different vendors and everything. Okay.
Yes.
Wow. That's cool. Okay. That's good
Well,
information.
now that we're here, can I show you?
Sure.
Can I ask you about our budget here? So this is the way that we've got ours set up.
Okay.
And I think yours is set up a little different.
Okay. So mine is actually the Koha test site. So I'm gonna, I will pretend like I know what I'm doing. Okay. So yours has a parent account fund, and then child funds.
Right.
underneath it.
All the sub
Okay.
funds, yes.
So
and that is not how you have yours. Is
this
that
one,
correct?
yeah, this I can show you what koha-US did, and then I can show you what we have here in Round Rock,
Okay.
which are 2 different things. Find these buttons to. All right. Oops, we got to actually hit that share button. Okay. So this is, so basically what the koha-US one did is made everything a parent fund. So there aren't, you know, everything is its own. It's not subdivided underneath it. I can show you maybe. Yeah. All right, so this is our site. This is our thing. So we've got it set up. So we've got a parent with child. So the city these are the account numbers that the city sees. And that's all that they care about. But we wanted to refine things a little bit more because we've got certain collection developers that are collecting this and, you know, kind of work the money out a little bit. So under each city's code for this particular one, adult fiction, we just have the adult fiction. That's all that comes out of there. But for the adult nonfiction, we've got graphic novels and adult nonfiction. So those are 2 different collection developer people that are working on that. So we split that between them, you know, same all the way down. So that's how we do it, just to track, you know, kind of help us see. So this number up here should be, you know, what's available and sort of be close to the number that the city has. You know, we can kind of double check each other that way. And then each, child underneath there helps with our processing apart from the city. Does that help?
Okay, yes. Is that how everyone else has their budget? Or does it make a difference to anyone else?
I can say that we started out looking like this, and it just got so frustrating for me that we weren't able to easily relate our funds to the city's funds. So that's why we changed and went to this format. Anybody else do things differently?
We have budgets, and then like for book budget, and under that book budget, I have funds like for different duties and fiction mysteries. Same
Okay.
thing for our branch, and then teen and youth services.
Okay,
I don't use parent funds, just budgets and fund codes.
okay, okay. All right. So you have a separate budget for different areas of
Yes,
the-
we
okay.
have book budget, audio, DVDs,
Oh, I see. Okay,
periodicals. We're a special district. We don't have a city. Everything is paid here, so it's easier that way.
okay, yeah. Yeah, that's the biggest thing, is to find out what works for you. But then, getting ideas from other libraries about how they've used the function in Koha is very helpful. I just looked at the time. We have 1 minute left. Oh my goodness, where did the time go? Time flies when you're having fun. So I did want to pull up this chat. Okay. Ours is like the Koha budget. Okay. And then Victoria did get back about the tax thing and replied, "Hi, Ally, the tax carries over to the item record if you change the setting to include tax." I changed mine and it works.
I did.
So-
I did a test and I changed them. And it did.
Okay.
The item record showed the taxes as well. So
Okay. That's good information. Since I never have to deal with that, it's good to know that that function is there. Okay, then we are all set. If you have any ideas for topics that you'd like to talk about, please let me know, and we'll see if we, if it's a topic that maybe we want to bring in a guest speaker, like a developer or a Bywater educator or something like that, let me know, and we can bring in guest speakers, if you will, and then we can all help each other learn and make Koha better together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a bug for the checkbox function and see if we can't get some momentum behind that. Okay, so I'll create the bug. I'll let everybody know, and then everybody jump onto that bug and say how wonderful it would be if we had that function. That's what helps us, vote for it, subscribe to the notifications, do whatever you need to do to make it look like the whole Koha community is excited about this. So, all right. We'll see you all, and I will stop sharing my screen and have a great, let's see, what do we have? it'll be the 4th of July we'll have before we see you all again. So have a good month, including your 4th of July. If there's anybody that's not in the US, we just have a great month till we see you. And it will be, oh yeah, dates. It will be July 19 at 11 o'clock is our next meeting. So we'll see you all there, and send me ideas for topics that you're interested in. Bye, everybody.